This movie is very controversial. Some people say it is the ceiling of science fiction, while others say it is all built up with money. There are sandstorms almost every day in the future world. The first thing people do when they come back every day is to sweep the dust, and the pots and pans can only be turned upside down. Due to the sharp decline in the population of pneumoconiosis, most of the surviving humans have become farmers. However, even so, crops withered one after another, and in the end only corn was left to survive. But Curry knew that corn would not last long, and in order not to starve to death, humans must make changes. One day, he was watching a game with his children, and the deadly sandstorm hit again. They quickly put on their masks and hurried back home. The daughter suddenly remembered the upstairs window, and, when they hurried upstairs, the room was already filled with yellow sand. Curry quickly closed the window and was surprised to find that the sand formed a pattern. His daughter said it was a ghost. Books on the bookshelf had fallen before and formed the same pattern. He felt that the ghost seemed to have something to say. Although Curry was an astronaut, he had to believe that this was a mysterious power. After a night of thinking, he found that these patterns were binary codes, and after deciphering them, they turned out to be a coordinate. In order to crack the secret behind this, Curry decided to go alone to check it out, and he asked his daughter to stay at home. It was not known how long they drove, but it was already late at night when they arrived. Just as Curry was about to cut the barbed wire, he was electrocuted from behind. When he woke up again, a short-haired woman was standing in front of him. He took Curry to a conference room, where he unexpectedly ran into his old acquaintance Cole. It turned out that this was a secret base of the space agency. In this age where people can't even get enough food, how can they spend money on space exploration? So they could only hide and conduct secret research. Everyone present was curious about how Curry found this place. He thought no one would believe it, but they all believed it because something even more outrageous happened here 48 years ago. A wormhole inexplicably appeared near Saturn, through which you can instantly reach galaxies hundreds of millions of light years away. But a wormhole cannot appear out of thin air, it must be placed here intentionally by someone. NASA selected 1 or 2 warriors to go, but in the end only 3 of them sent back a signal. Their mission this time is to go to these 3 planets. With Curry's long-range shooting ability, they are even more powerful. In order to prevent accidents, NASA has formulated 2 plans. Plan A is to build a huge space station to escape from the Earth with the surviving humans, but the gravity problem cannot be solved at present. Plan B is to abandon humans on Earth and let astronauts take 5,000 fertilized eggs to outer space to colonize and reproduce there. Curry doesn't want to leave. Cole had to lie to his family. When his daughter learned that her father was going to outer space, she stopped talking to him out of anger. At night, his father-in-law solemnly told him that he must comfort his granddaughter before leaving. Curry went to his daughter's room and explained to him the importance of this matter, but his daughter said that he had deciphered what the ghost wanted to say. However, Curry was like us adults. He didn't believe what his daughter said at all. He took out a piece that was exactly the same. The watch told his daughter that time in space is very slow, and maybe when he comes back, they will be the same age. Hearing this, his daughter completely collapsed. Curry didn't know what else to say, so he could only say, "I love you," over and over again, and finally chose to leave. The moment he opened the door, another book fell from the bookshelf, as if to keep him. After saying goodbye to his family at the door, he drove to the space agency. On the way, he even imagined that his daughter would appear in the co-pilot again, but after more than 2 years of sailing, they finally arrived near Saturn. Looking at this weird black ball, Curry felt inexplicably flustered, and Zui Zhe explained aloud. It was a wormhole. The reason why it was spherical was that it folded 2 spaces. The spacecraft soon entered the wormhole. The surrounding starlight quickly retreated, and the spacecraft began to shake violently. Fortunately, it soon survived. There was a huge accretion disk on the other side of the wormhole. Its gravity was so strong that not even light could escape. The first planet they wanted to go to was nearby, but because it was too close to the wormhole, 1 hour there was equal to 7 years on Earth. It was not easy for them to land smoothly. In order to save time, they wanted to run in big strides, but the gravity here was 1.3 times that of the Earth. Every step required a lot of effort, but when they arrived at the signal transmission point, they found nothing here, but the robot next to them made a discovery. It turned out that the warrior had already died. In order to find the recorder on the spacecraft, Annie strode towards the mountain. Looking at the thousands of meters high waves in front of her, Curry shouted loudly, asking them to come back quickly, but Annie suddenly fell down. Looking at the huge waves approaching, the robot quickly rushed towards Annie, lifted up the wreckage and picked her up, and then ran towards the detector like a fly, but before her companions could come up, a huge wave directly washed her away, and the seawater surged instantly. The cabin detector was carried by the huge waves, up and down, and finally they found that the engine was flooded and could not start. For this reason, they had to waste nearly an hour here, which is 7 years on Earth. However, before the robot could drain the water, another huge wave hit again. In order to leave quickly, Curry used his superb 3-point skills to forcefully pull out and finally left here by brushing the crest of the wave. When they returned to the spacecraft, brother Zui had gray hair. 23 years. Curry was shocked after hearing this. He was only 10 years old when he left his daughter. When he came to the video on the spacecraft, he laughed happily when he heard his son successfully graduated in the video. However, he started crying as he missed the most important company with his family. In the next video, his son told him that he could be a grandfather. Curry tried to raise his hand to say hello, but in the third video, his son had a beard. The last video was sent by his daughter. It was her birthday. When Curry left, he said that when she came back, they might be the same age. Now his daughter has joined NASA and is studying the gravity formula with Kerr. She wants to save all mankind like her father, but she doesn't know that Kerr has already cracked the formula. But he found that even if he did, he would still be able to solve it. No matter how they open the formula, they can't get rid of gravity, so they keep the matter secret. Curry also encountered trouble. Due to insufficient fuel, they can only choose one of the two planets. Annie wants to go to her boyfriend's planet, but Curry doesn't want to help him. Don't you know that we two old men are still single? The probe came to this white planet. Even the clouds here are frozen. How to live in such a cold place? They came to the coordinates of the pioneer warriors and woke up someone who had been sleeping for who knows how long. Looking at the familiar human in front of him, Yeej cried excitedly. God knows how much he suffered for the FMVP. Yeej told them that the daytime here is as long as 6 or 7 hours. Not only is the temperature low, but the air is also filled with angels. It is not suitable for human survival. But there is a hollow layer under the surface, where there is plenty of oxygen. When they returned to the spacecraft again, Curry saw the videos sent by his daughter. He questioned his father whether he knew the space agency's plan long ago. It turned out that Cole told him the plan before he died. Due to the lack of quantum data of the black hole, it is impossible to get rid of the Earth's gravity, so the astronauts can only implement Plan B. Watching his daughter crying in the video, Curry made up his mind to go back. Nothing is more important than his family. At this time, Zhu Yizhe came up with an idea that on the way back, the robot could try the black hole again. But being able to successfully transmit quantum data may really be able to save humans on Earth. Before leaving, Curry and Igor went to the hollow grass to confirm whether it could be habitable for humans. However, just when they arrived at the edge of the cliff, Igor suddenly pulled out Curry's braces and threw him into the cliff. Before Curry could figure out what was going on, Igor pushed him out again. Fortunately, he grabbed the crevice of the rock in time. It turned out that Igor lied to them. There was no hollow grass here at all. He went down the cliff and stepped hard on Curry's hand, but was dizzy by Curry's running without the ball, and the two slid down together. Curry asked him why he did this, and Igor told the truth. He didn't want to die alone here, so he pressed the habitable button. He knew that this would. If he did, someone would come to save him. Brother Yi knew that the matter could no longer be concealed, so he simply went all out and prepared to keep Curry here completely. The two kept wrestling with each other. Brother Yi had turned into a madman of the Warriors 3 at this time, and he actually hit Curry's helmet hard. You know, if you do this, your own helmet may also break. Luck is indeed on his side, just like when he won the FMVP. Curry's helmet was broken, and a large amount of ammonia was poured in. It won't be long before he will suffocate to death. Brother Yi turned and left when he saw this, but Curry did not give up. He struggled to find his braces and pulled off the gloves that were in the way. After hearing this, Annie immediately drove the detector to the scene. Finally, he reached Curry before the oxygen ran out, but Zhu Yizhe on the other side was killed by Yizhe. Yizhe drove the probe to the spaceship, and he wanted to leave here alone. Curry chased after him, but it was too late. Fortunately, the robot left behind did not trust Yizhe and did not allow Yizhe to dock. He had no choice but to turn on the manual mode. He ignored the warning of the spaceship and forced the hatch to open. The pressure instantly sucked him into space. The probe also hit the spaceship. The explosion made the spaceship rotate continuously and fall towards the direction of the planet. Once they lost the spaceship, they would stay here forever. There was no word, give up, in Curry's dictionary. With years of experience, he drove the probe to the bottom of the spaceship to keep the same speed as the spacecraft so that it can be relatively still. Soon, Annie was dizzy, and Curry bit his braces to hold on. With the help of the robot, he finally docked successfully without any danger. But the robot reminded them that the spacecraft was about to enter the gravitational field of the black hole. Curry quickly checked the spacecraft's supplies and found that they were not enough to return to Earth, but they could reach the last habitable planet. Curry decided to continue moving towards the black hole and then use the gravitational slingshot to slingshot them there. In front of the huge accretion disk, the spacecraft is like a small potato, and the speed of time here is terrifying. Just a moment. It took 51 years on Earth. In order to escape the gravity of the black hole and achieve the effect of a slingshot, Curry turned on the full speed mode. The fuel was quickly exhausted. The robot operated the probe and number 1 separated from the spacecraft. No people for you doing. Then, probe number 2 broke away and flew towards the mysterious and terrifying black hole, surrounded by glittering unidentified objects. As the speed increased, these luminous objects began to hit the probe, and the probe would soon be unable to support itself. Curry quickly ejected himself, surrounded by pitch black darkness, and suddenly began to fall rapidly again. He stretched out his hands to hold the wall, looking at the strange lines around him. Curry recognized that this was his daughter's room. He slapped the bookshelf hard, and the books fell and caused. Curry got his daughter's attention, but his daughter didn't know what was going on and thought it was a ghost trying to talk to her. Curry looked back and found that this was a 5-dimensional space, where time existed in a physical form, but he was trapped here at the moment. In order to prevent his past self from leaving his daughter, he decided to leave some information. Curry came to the time before their departure, formed a Morse code by deducing the book, and left 2 words. His daughter quickly deciphered the code, but he still left. Only then did he remember that his daughter had told him to stay, but he didn't believe her words. It seemed that these were destined to happen. Curry was nearly collapsed by the pain at this moment. At this moment, the voice of the robot was heard. It turned out that the robot was still alive, and it was they who saved him and gave him the key data of the formula. But the robot didn't know how to send it to the past. Although the place where Curry was could affect the past, how could people in the past recognize these? Looking at his daughter's study, Curry suddenly realized that they did not choose him, but let him influence his daughter through love. They are the human beings of the future. After thinking it through, Curry manipulated the sand to leave the coordinates of the space agency. Seeing that his daughter liked the watch he gave her very much, he asked the robot to convert the black hole data into Morse code, and then he swung the second hand of the watch to convert the black hole. The data was passed to the daughter. When the daughter grew up, she returned to her room. She wanted to take one last look and recall every detail of the past. The daughter suddenly realized that the ghost was her father. He must have something to say to her. Before leaving, he took the watch away, and suddenly he stopped again. At this moment, the daughter finally understood that this was what her father wanted to tell her. The daughter successfully deciphered the Morse code, the gravity formula was also recalculated, and humanity was finally saved. On the other side, the five-dimensional space where Curry was located began to close, and he knew that his daughter had succeeded. Then Curry returned to the wormhole, where he actually saw Annie again. He stretched out his hand to Annie, and suddenly remembered what Annie had said, that it turned out to be himself. When he woke up again, he found himself lying on a hospital bed. The doctor told him that he was found by the detection number they sent out in the last few minutes before the oxygen ran out. Curry opened the curtains, and what came into view was a huge space station. Obviously, humans have solved the gravity problem and survived in space. When he saw his daughter again, he was about to leave the world. Fortunately, he finally waited for his father. Curry told him that the ghost was himself, but his daughter said that she had known it for a long time and believed that he would come back, but his daughter did not want her father to stay with her. She had her own children and grandchildren. The daughter asked her father to find Annie, and she was standing alone on that planet, preparing to continue Plan B to reproduce mankind. If you were Curry, would you risk your life to find Annie?